Welcome to Valley Home Vibes, the podcast that's all about the sizzling hot real estate market right here in the Valley of the Sun. I'm your co-host, GT Campanile, joined by co-hosts Kevin Price and Laurent Abbotball. And we're all thrilled to have you join us today as we delve deep into the captivating world of real estate right here in Phoenix, Arizona. Whether you're a local Phoenician or someone considering a move to this desert oasis, Valley Home Vibes is your ultimate guide for everything you need to know about buying, selling, and investing in this vibrant market. This week, we'll discuss some of Phoenix West Valley's signature neighborhoods. These are neighborhoods that have great homes, great amenities, and appeal to families and active adults. Before we get into it, let's cover the real estate and mortgage markets. Kevin, what's going on in real estate right now?
How you doing today? So far, things are looking really good for towards the end of the year. The monthly median sales price of Phoenix is at $440,000, and we've pretty much stayed consistent since about the end of summer. And Litchfield Park and Goodyear Buckeye area, we are at $465,000 median sales price, which is really good. This is a little bit of a dip from last week, but still, that's a great sales price to be at. The sales per month halfway through November for the Phoenix area, we're at 1,330. And here in Litchfield Park, Buckeye, Goodyear, we are at 96. Now, November is a notoriously slower month, so there's nothing to worry about with that. That is normal, typical for end of the year. The cumulative days on market for the Phoenix area is pretty similar to last month. We're right around 60 days, 61 days. That is also consistent for the last 2-3 months. In Buckeye, Goodyear, Litchfield Park, we are closer to about 65 days. So just a few more days sitting on the market before the close of the transaction. And the 6-month moving sales average for the Phoenix metro area is $287 per square foot. That's the average sales price of the last 6 months at $287.52. And in our area, we are at $227 average sales price per square foot. And that also is trending upward. The beginning of the year, we were at $222 a square foot. Now we're at $227. So everything's trending in the right direction. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the end of the year and how things are going to start in January.
The prices continue to trend up throughout the valley, but the West Valley is looking particularly optimistic. What things can change tremendously in the year. We're obviously seeing homes stay on the market a little longer, but that doesn't necessarily mean that home prices are going down, which is an oddity, right? You would think. But as you just stated, your home prices are holding and West Valley is still looking pretty strong.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at the median sales price is, we had the high in the beginning of summer, but we are still higher than we were when we started off the year. So a little lower than the summer selling time, but heading into the end of the year, we're still higher than when we started this year. So that's also encouraging in my opinion. I like that idea.
Very encouraging. Okay, let's move on to mortgage and interest rates. So not a lot of new reports in terms of GDP. Unemployment rate still at 3.9%. The last week, we did see rates go down, and that was because of the positive jobs report. And so we saw rates move in a direction that's good for buyers out there, or first-time home buyers are still sitting on the sidelines. You'll be definitely pleased to know that things have continued to move in the right direction. The great news this week was CPI. That's our inflation metric, and it didn't go down. It changed by, I think, 0.1%. However, it beat expectations. Inflation is holding at a low number. Will it continue to trend down? Anybody's guess. But it was a positive report. The market digested it in a positive way. Obviously, futures in the stock market rallied and interest rates came down by quite a bit today. The 30-year fixed rate stands at 7.4, and hopefully this trend continues and we may see sixes next year. That's what a lot of the analysts are forecasting, to include the Mortgage Bankers Association. I think that things look pretty good. So, Kevin, resident realtor, please kick us off. And what are the top destinations to live in the West Valley?
There is plenty of destinations. The one so far, the newest one that we've already discussed is the Sterling Grove neighborhood. We've already gone over that in a previous episode. It's a gated community, mostly built by Toll Brothers. They have 55 plus. They have homes available for all age ranges. They have tons of amenities, pools, golf courses, pickleball. I believe that's a new thing.
They do. They have dedicated pickleball courts, actually, and they're actually amazing. And they're right on next to this little lake. It looks like a painting when you go out there. If you've ever, have you driven through Sterling Grove, Kevin?
Yeah, I went and took a tour of the model homes, and they are very nice. A really nice setup. Yeah, it's a wonderful neighborhood.
For anybody who doesn't know, like Toll Brothers, they specialize in the development of high-end master plan communities. And we've got quite a few actually here in the Valley. But I think the Sterling Grove, which is here in the West Valley, and I think it would be considered in Surprise or Waddell. Is that correct?
I believe it is, yes.
Probably
It's
South
under-
Surprise. And it's one of the kind of burgeoning and growing cities. Not a new city by any means, but it's going to see benefits from obviously these really high-end communities moving in, but also, of course, the talk of the town is that all the jobs that Taiwan Semiconductor will be bringing in with their North Phoenix fab plant. And so a lot of those folks are probably going to be buying along the 303 corridor all the way down into Surprise, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And also speaking of along the 303 a little bit north of the Sterling Grove is the Vistancia neighborhood. And they have 4 communities and and 2 of them, they just recently opened. Not recently, like within the last year and a half, 2 years. They are actually, depending on how you say it, on the other side of the canal. And they are more of a wilderness, outdoor type of setup, but they have tons of golf courses, tons of outdoor activities, your community pools, the rec centers. I believe they have the rec center as well. Tons of hiking past the mountains out there. It's very beautiful. And that area is right off the 303, closer to the Taiwan Semiconductor to get easier access to work. Because
Like literally 10 to 15 minutes down the road, actually. It's really close from what it looks like. And I've made that trip, and I can tell you, no one actually knows how it's going to look when it's finally all that infrastructure is built up. But there's got to be 2 or 3 off ramps, on and off ramps into that facility over there. And quite literally, the most westward or westerly on ramp is probably 10 minutes from Vistancia. Because you get off at that, what is that exit over there at Vistancia, like Vistancia Parkway or something like that.
it's Lone Mountain Parkway, but
Lone Mountain
within the
Parkway.
last 3 years, they opened up Joe Max. So there's 2 exits into that neighborhood area. And I believe, now it's been a while since I read this, they're going to put another 5 exits on the 303 between the Lake Pleasant and I-17. So lots of traffic, going to open up that whole area along the 303 for more housing, more jobs, more activities. It's going to be a great area.
Okay. Yep. And there are several, like you said, there's that Lone Mountain Parkway. And then there is, I misspoke, it's not called Valencia Parkway or Vistancia Parkway. It's called North Vistancia Boulevard. That was the other more south entrance. And it all heads into basically the same place. But there is I guess you would call it the regular development side, right, for everybody. And then there is a active adult or 55 plus side of the development, correct?
Yeah, they have, I believe they're 55 plus. I'm not sure the name of it. I believe that was the Blackstone. They're more the golf course area.
Trilogy, maybe?
Trilogy also might be the ones, but all of the communities, the neighborhoods, if you will, are open to all the age ranges. There's not one dedicated just to 55 plus in the Visancia area.
I was over there probably 2 months ago, and I don't know if it was Blackstone, but it was probably the northwestern portion of the development, the very northwestern portion. And they had a amazing clubhouse and like HOA facility. We're talking the pool was something you would, see in these magazines for a resort. It was well done. And they had a lot of amenities, a lot of games, a lot of things for kids to do. Have you been over there, Kevin, to show homes yet in that portion of Vistancia?
No, I really haven't. I know Blackstone is the gated neighborhood, but I haven't had a chance to get over there yet. I've gone hiking myself personally back there, and it's a beautiful area. But for showing the homes, no, not yet.
It's definitely a signature or choice neighborhood in the West Valley. And in fact, there's a magazine that's focused on, I think, resort living, and they rank all the top HOA developments in the US. And I believe Estancia was ranked in the top 10. And so
Yeah,
we've got
wouldn't be surprised.
there's 3 or 4 developments just here in the Phoenix area that are in that list in the top 25, but I think Vistancia was actually number 1 of the master plan communities in the Phoenix area, on that
Gotcha.
list.
Okay, that's good to know. I was not aware of them being that high. I know they're up there. They're a nice area, but I
Well
wouldn't have worked
regarded.
there.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely. What's
yeah.
next on the list?
We're gonna move south now over by the I-10 and the 303 it's gonna be the Estrella community. That one's really tucked back. You might almost feel as if you're lost driving down to it. It's the 303 where it turns into just a regular road going south. And that's been around though since 1985. It's a wonderful area. They have a lot of activity. They have the gated 55 plus communities. They have the hiking trails. They have the pools, shopping center, or the Fry's, the grocery store down there. It's a nice area that doesn't make you feel like you're in Phoenix. Lots of grass, lots of trees. I know they have a lot of lakes over there as well, man-made lakes. It's a nice area.
I've been out there many times, and you're right, it is way out there. And on a map, if you were to look at Phoenix, the West Valley, it does go pretty far west. However, I would say it's actually probably there's a greater distance north to south. And like Vistancia is probably one of the northernmost developments, whereas Estrella is probably the southernmost, I would say. And the development, if I remember right, you mentioned the 80s, which is baffling because you go out there and you're like, wow, they actually had this, not just in the West Valley, but if you think about it, Phoenix back in 1985, we said. And that strikes me as like amazing because it's really posh out there. Like it's a really
Mhm.
nice development.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. It says that it takes up over 70 acres. I know that the grand opening was actually a few years later in 1988. So they've been around, they've been able to make the improvements, and it's just a nice area that, like you said, it's one of the southern ones in the West Valley, but it is absolutely beautiful out there.
It does have some notable things to do. This is a haven for outdoor enthusiasts for sure. So I do know that if you're just kind of meandering out there, a nice thing to see would be what's called the Estrella Star Tower. And they got a little cafe nearby, this kind of monument, if you will. And you can climb to the top of this tower that kind of spirals up about probably 40 or 50 feet. A little cafe nearby called Cafe Babita. And it's a nice place to get some coffee. And then you can go over to the lakes, which has its own yacht club. It's got its own like clubhouse with an amazing gym. It has some restaurants over there on the lake. And I think some of these amenities may be only open to residents, such as I think the boat or kayak rentals at the Estrella Yacht Club. However, the little walkway that goes around the lakes is open to all, and you can take your bicycle out there or your scooter or whatever and just go around the lake. There's 2 lakes, by the way, and there are some parks along the way as you're going around the lake. Mainly the South Lake has a lot of the more recreational stuff to do, whereas there's more houses, I think, on the North Lake. But one thing that strikes me is the number of mountain biking trails that are in that development. It is a mountain biker's paradise out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't think of what the mountains would be called. I've been trying to remember. It says here's the Sierra Estrella Mountains. We are the Valley of the Sun, surrounded by mountains, north, south, east, and west. There's a ring of hiking trails, perfect for outdoor activities, much like the bicycles.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that mountain range that's just to the east is called the Estrella Mountain, basically, range, or at least the park is, right? There's the Estrella Mountain Regional Park. And
Mhm. I
then
think
you've
you're right.
got
Yeah.
the white tanks they don't really go by this neighborhood, but they would be to the west. And I'm not sure if they bleed across the 10 or not, but that would, on our next development we talk about, I think those are closer to that. These white tank mountains are closer to that neighborhood. Circle back to the recreation park. I
Mhm.
had read that, so Buckeye hosts one of the major marathons, and it's actually a Boston Marathon qualifier, the Buckeye Marathon. And I know there's some marathoners that have moved to Estrella just for training because it's obviously desert climate. There's full sun out there, and a lot of them love just running those trails and training for marathoning. Also, a little known fact is there was an Olympic swimmer that actually trains in the valley here, but one of her favorite pools to swim at is where she lives, right there in Estrella. And the Star Point Residence Club, which is the clubhouse there, has actually has a beautiful big pool, but it has like a little 2-lane lap pool, and that's where you'll find an actual Olympic swimmer training, which I thought was strange.
I
Yeah,
didn't know
because
that. I wonder if they'll be able to, I poke fun at it, but I wonder if they're going to be able to isn't pickleball going to be part of the Olympic sports? Isn't there a push for that right now?
yeah, and among other things too, I would not doubt if pickleball is probably one of the most followed sports in Olympics here in another 5 to 10 years. I know it's the fastest
It
growing
is.
recreational sport in the US
I
at this
I
moment.
think I also heard flag football is going to be added to the Olympics. So if they're
I
going to add flag football, we can get some ball going on as well.
I know, can you imagine? I remember playing flag football as a kid. Its time is definitely due. Don't you think it's time for flag football to have its moment in the sun?
Absolutely. Another activity though that you can do down there, I read about, is that they have slam ball. Um,
Slam ball. What is
yeah,
slam ball?
now, slam ball, I'm not too sure what it is. I was trying to look up what it is, but I'm not sure if it's a sport or a workout type of thing. I'm not really sure, but it has a lot of information out here on the internet, though. We'll have to maybe do a little more research and understand that one better.
There are I think 2 or 3 major clubs in the Estrella. I think the official name is called the Estrella Mountain Ranch. And then there's a new component called Montecito in Estrella. And there are several residence clubs out there. And the main one is this, what's called Star Point Residence. There's also Presidio Residence Club. I've been over there and it has a restaurant in it. And the club is like something you would see in like Italy. Like it's an amazing building. It has a pool. It's got the restaurant's called the Cantina at Presidio. It's got Mexican flair and it's really a cool club.
I have not been out there for that, but I'm always up for some good food.
What's next on your list?
The next one is going to actually be 55 over only community, and that's going to be Sundance. That's a little bit further west, more towards the California direction. But that's another. I would say that's an older community. I'm not sure of the year on that, but they have plenty of golf courses on there. The 55 plus community, they have approximately 1,100 homes, lots of activities. Again, tons of outdoor activities on this side of the area, so it's great.
So on in Sundance, you said it's 55 only. Now I know there's other developments that I've always thought were part of the Sundance development. Is Windmill Village one of those? Is that part of Sundance?
I am not too sure on that one. I'm not familiar with that. I'm gonna have to default and say I don't believe it is, but I would
Okay.
definitely have to double check on that because I know Sundance is its own little area. It has all of its outdoor activities, hiking trails, golf course, but I'm not too sure about that other neighborhood.
So I know Sundance itself, the name is been associated with a number of new developments in the area. So I know that they had just opened up what's called Sundance Phase 2. And I'm not sure if that's 55 plus only or if it's open to everybody, but they developed a new park that was garnering a lot of attention. And it has lakes, it has fishing. And I think the park was actually literally called Sundance Park or Sundance Phase 2 Park. And that just happened this last summer, actually. They had their grand opening.
Okay. I would gather that would probably be open to a younger crowd to just expand the community and get a little bit of diverse population going on. You don't want your road clogged up with golf carts unnecessarily.
Yeah. And that, I would say that's actually one of those kind of cool features with some of these communities is that you do see a lot of these golf carts floating around on the main roads, right? Like if you pull up to maybe the grocery store that's kind of part of these communities, you'll see golf carts parked in the parking lot. And these communities, they're self-contained, right? They've got their schools, they've got their grocery stores, they've got little tiny strip malls with nail salons and barbershops and any number of restaurants you can think of. And so that's what makes them really great is they're self-contained. The only time you have to leave is either for work, if you have to leave, if you don't work from home, or you need to go to Costco or something for your bulk stuff. Other than that, your recreation is there. If you work from home, your work is there. And these homes are really nice. Like we're talking, it is really resort living in your backyard.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And I actually did an open house over in Sundance one time, and I tried dropping off a stack of business cards in the recreation area, and they told me I could only leave one. But it is a nice, and I bring that up to tell you that they do encourage the rule following so that everybody has the same experience. It's well maintained. They got the shops, like you said, they have the exercise activities. So it's a really nice, all encompassed type of living for sure.
And did you guys say it was gated as well? That is a big question I had from people today's day. If the communities were gated or
I don't think any of the communities, I should say, let's clarify some terminology here. A lot of these are developments, right? And then there are neighborhoods or communities within these developments.
Mhm.
And any number of builders could be participating, creating a unique neighborhoods within these major developments. Now, sometimes I don't think any of these are gated if you were to drive into the development. However, there might be a community or a neighborhood within that development they may have a higher price point or they're premium homes and they may be gated.
Yeah, I believe Sundance, I don't believe any of that area is gated, but I do know up in Vistancia, they have some that are gated off. Now, Sterling Grove, I believe, is completely gated off. It's right
This
off
is
the main
true.
street. You go right through the gate. So that's the only one I know that's a complete gated community neighborhood.
In fact, the entire development is just one developer. And so in this instance, it is gated right at the front entrance. You're not getting into that development at all unless you're a resident or you've asked pretty please to see the model homes and you've got money in the pocket or something. That's been my experience.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's the only way to get into Sterling Grove.
can I just throw in $100 just to get in? Like, hey buddy, look, this is just
and they're pretty strict at Sterling Grove. Typically, you would want to go with your realtor. That's an automatic in. But if you're just driving by and you want to go in, if you say, "Hey, I'd like to see the model homes," they'll usually just wave you on through. And it's again Sterling Grove. It's been in the middle, right? So we've been covering the very most northern part of the West Valley, which is that Vistancia. If Estrella is that southernmost, then you've got that Sterling Grove, which is in the middle. And the next development, last development we're going to talk about is also maybe a little more towards the south, but it's also right about there in the middle, isn't it, Kevin?
Yeah, and that's going to be the Verrado neighborhood. And I get the areas mixed up, but I believe the Verrado actually runs into the White Tank Mountains. Or
That
it
is
backs-
correct.
Okay. It's either White Tank Mountains or the Buckeye Regional Park. I think that's the name of it.
I think the White Tank Mountains is that little range that goes all the way up through into Surprise and
Yeah, it
then
goes all the way to Bell Road.
all the way to Bell Road. Yeah, absolutely. All the way up there to, what is that? Yeah, Highway 60, right? It goes way up there. or excuse me, not Highway 60. What's that? Sun Valley Parkway, I believe. And that
Yeah,
goes
well,
out to
Sun
Sun
Valley,
City, actually.
yeah, Sun Valley
Festival.
loops around and turns into Bell Road.
Okay.
So
Got it.
from I-10 all the way up north to Bell Road.
And then down the park that you're referring to is called Skyline Regional Park.
Yes, that's the
Um,
one, Skyline.
and that's the one that Verrado is just sits right up next to. But yeah, that's one of the great features of the community is that you could call it kind of a mountainside community. A lot of trails obviously filter up into the mountains. The community has staked its claim on recreation and active living, right? And
Yeah.
they've got carry on. You're doing such a great job explaining it. They
Uh,
have a ton of amenities. I can talk forever about this community as because I live here.
yes, it is nice, and I have a client that is dying to get into the area. Nobody is selling in his particular area, but I go off on a tangent. They have plenty of great schools over there. You do have new construction even on the north side. It's I wouldn't say it's considered Vistancia, but it's definitely part of Verrado. But it's definitely in the region, the area. You have over 25, I want to say, miles of hiking paths that you can complete. The schools, the shopping centers, the community pools. I think out of the area between Visancia and Verrado, those would be neck and neck for outdoor activities, golfing, hiking, just normal walks in the neighborhood, even wonderful views. And they have a lot to offer in the Verrado area.
Yeah, there's what people. I think the main feature of Verrado, like what strikes you first when you drive into Verrado, is actually the trees. That's the first thing people say to me when I say I'm out there in Verrado. Is Verrado has been around since 2002, 2003. I think they sold their first home in the spring of 2004 or late 2003, and they planted a ton of trees. And all these trees are now 50 feet tall, and of course, we suck up a ton of water, but it does make the community green and lush. And if you're one of those people coming from California that everybody's complaining about, that's one of the things that kind of makes you feel like you're coming from home, right? Because I grew up in Northern California in the mountains, and that's what kind of drew me to Verrado was that it had some trees. And if you're looking for that desert living, you still have that. There's cactus, obviously that's part of the landscape. But there's just a ton of green grass, trees. They definitely didn't hold back on the landscaping.
No, and that's a wonderful spot. I've heard photographers love that area for your family pictures, prom pictures, proposal pictures, any type of picture taking photography, even nature photography is excellent out there with all the mountains, the contrasting with the grass, and like you mentioned, the trees. That's what my client has fallen in love with. He wants to drive down in between all those big, beautiful, mature trees.
Some quick stats. Verrado also, if you go out to the DMB or the developer's website, they claim, I think, the most parks for any neighborhood in Phoenix. And I think there's something like 80 plus parks and counting now in Verrado. And there were reasons that they did that for family living and for kids and just for things to do and recreation and all that. But there are a ton of parks and they're not all created the same, which is one of the cool things. Some you might have a fire pit, some you've got some barbecues and a basketball court. Others you might have a jungle gym and some swings. Every park offers something a little different. And so sometimes if I'm out walking, I just walking through the parks because they're all unique. There's 2 golf courses in Verrado, and there's a golf course, which is called the Verrado Golf Club. The course is called Founders Course, and that's in the community that's open to everybody. There is
Okay.
an active adult side to Verrado called Victory, and it's probably the fastest growing component of the Verrado development. And they have their own course as well called, I think this is called the Victory Course. And each course has a restaurant attached. The newest one, the Victory development has this place called the Vic. And I remember getting a lot of fanfare because they had this, I think, chef that was come in to lead the charge. And anyway, they do a great job up there. But the community, when you drive in, and Kevin, you can maybe give your impression when you first saw it, it strikes you as Mayberry, right? You're thinking of this old kind of Midwestern, old America feel, right? 1950s. You've got like the trees leading up into this little town, and the town it's got a little bit of everything, and it's not like little strip malls. It's actually like a walkable, very pedestrian friendly, small town USA feel, right?
Yeah, and I think that was actually one of the ideas that they went with it over on the Main Street area, and they went specifically for that type of feel where it could be almost anywhere USA. It doesn't feel like Arizona at all.
It's a little bit of something for everybody here as well.
Yeah. Oh,
You
but
know,
I think we would be remiss if we did not mention the Verrado steps, the wonderful, challenging, what do they got? 30 steps of
right.
fun.
The Victory Steps at Verrado has been, since it was installed, I think 2 or 3 years ago, it's actually, I think, part of the public park. So you get a lot of people coming from, outside the community just to climb the steps. And what it is, it's just a bunch of railroad ties as steps installed up the mountain about, I would say it's a good quarter mile.
I think so, but the steps they're not your normal steps.
They're steep.
They are.
Very
It's like it's a step up for each step. I would be worried about maybe twisting an ankle, and then I'm rolling all the way back down, all the feel injured.
Right.
And if it's hot outside, then the rocks are going to be warm, and it's going to be a little bit more painful to fix yourself up, and if you have to go to urgent care or something like that.
If you haven't exercised in a while and your first day out to exercise is doing the Victory Steps at Verrado, I guarantee you are going to be sore the next day.
And make sure your insurance is up to date, just in case you take that tumble from the top all the way down.
That's right. And Laurent can help you with that.
I can't.
So I wanted to mention on those golf courses, because I know that's a big draw for people, not just here in Verrado, but of course moving to Phoenix, that Verrado hosts these 2 courses that are actually ranked in the top 10 for all of Phoenix, which is known to have, I think, the most golf courses per capita, if that statistic still stands. And they were ranked number 2 and 4 of top or best public courses in Phoenix. And the first one is the Verrado Founders Course. That was ranked number 2. And the Victory Course was ranked number 4. And we have got some great golfing out here. And I think they've even had they've hosted some championships. I don't think they were PGA level stuff, but they were, I don't know, not sure if they were amateur circuit or not, but we've had some championship golf tournaments out here.
Yeah, lots of golf courses, lots of nice areas to visit when you're done golfing.
Last thing I want to mention, and this is something that I think is a major feature, is that every year they've got a signature event called Founders Day. And they always have a marquee name, actually, singer, a band that will come and play on a Saturday night, the weekend that they have Founders Day celebration. And they've had, get these names, the Beach Boys, Vince Neil from Motley Crue, Spin Doctors, the B-52s. They've had some major names come out. In Vogue, I remember was your one year at Berlin, right?
Sign me up.
Was that Laurent?
Sign me up.
Come out. We'll have you come out this spring when they've got Founders Day. It's a lot of fun. And the only 2 years I think they missed were during COVID. Anyway, I think that's all the communities. Kevin, did you have any other community to discuss?
No, that was the bigger ones. I know another one when you think of Litchfield Park is the Wigwam, but that's more a resort type of situation, not really like a community, so to say. I know people live in the area, but the Wigwam claim to fame is the resort and the golf course, not necessarily the community around it.
Litchfield Park is also growing our way, right? In fact, I don't know if you knew this, but Verrado actually bleeds over into another city. So not all of Verrado is in Buckeye. A lot of people think we're actually a city because everybody refers to themselves as being from Verrado instead of Buckeye, which is where we're at. But I think Verrado, what's called Verrado East, I think is the phase. That is actually, I think, part of Litchfield Park, believe it or not.
Yeah, I have not heard of that.
right
I would
behind
be-
Fry's there, that new Fry's at Indian School. So that right behind Fry's, I think is considered Litchfield.
Yes, I believe, yes, that is part of Litchfield Park. That'd be pretty interesting to have a part of Verrado in Litchfield Park because it's growing. It's spreading out. That'd be great. I'd love to have that.
If you live in Verrado, I guess you've got to distinguish which city you're from. That's how fast and how big this development has grown. All right, folks, that's a wrap. If you have any questions about living in the West Valley or any of its many neighborhoods, please reach out to us using the links below. And please don't forget to click the like button and subscribe. This is GT signing off from Valley Home Vibes. Thank you very much, everyone.
Hi, this is Laurent signing off. Have a good night.
Have a good one. Thank you, guys.
Bye.